Chances are we'll use the free Mystic Shot on Veteran Investigator anyways, just to try and level this Ezreal up. Because with double Mushroom Cloud and a Chump Up in hand, he's going for max save his life. Okay. I don't know if that was the right choice. It's debatable. It's debatable, but letting us get this free Ezreal Mystic Shot might be pretty devastating for him. He just might not know it yet.
Hey everyone, Raptor Spank here, and today we have another episode of On the Grind, the show where I cover a deck I'm playing in Ranked. We'll break down the deck, cover some flex spots, as well as some basic mulligans, and then we'll put the deck through some ranked matches and review how we do afterwards. Some housekeeping at the top of the show here. New microphone. Woo! So hopefully the audio is a little bit better now. Gonna take a little while just to really get into the flow of it, but yeah, hopefully this isn't too distracting with the webcam. I know it takes up a lot of the space, but I'm a bit space limited at the moment. But yeah, so new microphone, hopefully the audio is better. And then today we're going to be covering a deck I've done 3 or 4 times I think now, but this will be the first time covering it this season, and that's Ezreal Draven Tempo, Combo, Control, whatever you want to call it. It's really a tempo deck, but essentially it just has a lot of value Noxus units, and then it can level up Ezreal fairly quickly through a number of aggressive units as well as removal. And then Ezreal's just kind of that backup win condition to close out the late game, but we try to get a lot of damage in early, and then we have a big finisher like Captain Farron, or just using Ezreal to get that extra little bit of damage through. So let's break down the deck, starting with the champion package, and that begins with 3 copies of Draven, which is one of our better 3-drops in the deck. He's super aggressive, super powerful essentially. He can attack very safely thanks to quick attack, and the spinning axes are really useful in our deck because we have a number of ways to discard it for value, and then also it's basically a 0 cost, deal 1 damage once you have a leveled up Ezreal, let alone the fact you can use it to pump up some of your early damage anyways. So it just does a lot of value in our deck, and Whirling Death can be really, really strong as well, because his champion spell, because we can always use that to level up Ezreal, essentially. It counts as a trigger for Ezreal. You can use it to get more spinning axes as well. You can turbo level Draven up, which can help as a backup win condition or a primary win condition almost at that point. So yeah, it's just a really high value 3-drop for the deck. And then we have 3 copies of Ezreal, obviously. As I mentioned, kind of backup win condition here. We have a lot of different ways to target things through things like Sentry as well as spells, and we just kind of look to build our own board while killing our opponent's board so we can force all this damage through. And Ezreal's just something that's going to level up through the course of the game. You can play him for early game damage, but generally speaking, you're going to want to level up before you play Ezreal and just use him as a way to get those last points of damage through. And then from there, we have our follower package, which starts with 3 copies of Ballistic Bot. This is one of the newer additions to the deck, and it's just a really, really good card because, as I mentioned, we have a lot of things that we can discard to, so that Ignition every turn can be very useful for discarding things like some Dredger or Rummage or even Spinning Axe. So that's just really good. Spinning Axes as well will boost the damage on Ballistic Bot because they count as created cards, and just generally it's a really good body 2-drop that can threaten our opponent fairly quickly actually with its damage output. And then we have 3 copies of House Spider as well. This is just our go wide. It can be a great aggro piece for the deck if we're trying to race. House Spider gets a ton of damage in early potentially, but also it gives us multiple blockers for 1 unit, which is very good into like the aggro matchups and things like that, or even just buying us more time against mid-range as well. And then we have 3 copies of Arachnoid Sentry, which is probably our second best 3-drop. Draven's going to be better on the attack. Arachnoid Sentry is going to be better on the defense. But essentially, this gives us a 3/2 body for 3 mana that also triggers our Ezreal with its skill. And it can be used in a number of ways. You can use it to prevent one of your opponents from blocking, or you can use it to prevent them from attacking. I've used it for both in many, many circumstances. There's times where it's just going to be a ton of damage pushed through if you just use this to tap down their blocker and then swing in. So it's got a lot of value with that, while also just helping to level up that Ezreal, as I mentioned. And then we have 3 copies of Some Dredger. This is just a great way to turn some of those created cards into card advantage. We can pitch away a Spinning Axe to draw something new. We can pitch away an Ignition to draw something new. It's just a great, great value card that comes with a massive body. I mean, 4/3 for 3 is incredibly powerful, especially if you go like Ballistic Bot into this, so that you immediately can pitch that Ignition, draw a new card, and have these 2 bodies on the board. It can be really, really strong, and it trades effectively with pretty much anything your opponent could have in the early to mid game. Now, we also have 3 copies of Chump Wump. This is just another really great value card. It's another 4/3. It does cost 1 more mana, but it comes with 2 more created spells, which, again, those can power up our Ballistic Bot, Those can power up our ballistic bot, as well as they can serve kind of as a win condition of their own. The mushrooms can always end up killing our opponent eventually if they draw into them, but also it's really effective for playing and getting these free cards, and then you play a leveled up Ezreal, and now each one of those spells is going to deal 1 damage and plant mushrooms into your opponent's deck that could kill them. And of course, it's also really great with something like Rummage. If you're having a hard time finding the valuable cards in your deck, you can play this, then rummage away both of those mushrooms to draw 2 new cards, so that's really effective. It just really gives us a lot of value for fairly low cost. And then finally, our big finisher for the deck, 2 copies of Captain Farron. Yes, it got nerfed, but honestly, it's still worth running in the deck because it is kind of our primary win condition, and using the decimates to close out the game, or just playing this huge 8/8 overwhelmer and swinging through. So that's our primary win condition. Gives us a lot of spells in hand too, so it just continues to keep our card advantage up. And in fact, decimate's just a really good win condition for us, because if you cast it with Ezreal out, who's leveled up, it's going to do 5 damage instead of 4, and every point counts. So it's just really, really useful in the deck for keeping the engine running. Now onto our spell package, we have 3 copies of Thermogenic Beam, which is just a really good catch-all. It can get a big threat, it can get a small threat. We can use it on turn 1 to deal with some of the more problematic 1-drops like Teemo or Zoe, or like a Legion Saboteur. So it's just a really nice card that scales well, because we can use it in the early game, we can use it in the late game. It's going to be effective in any of those. And also, we can even cast it for 0 to deal 2 damage off the leveled up Ezreal as well. So always keep that in mind, that it can be used as essentially a kill card once you have Ezreal out, even if it costs 0 and doesn't do anything. And then we have 3 copies of Ravenous Flock. This is one of our best removal spells. We have a lot of ways to deal damage to our opponent through either small blockers like House Spider, or quick attack threats like Draven. And so Ravenous Flock is just a good way to finish off any threats that haven't died yet, or just in general, we can do a bit of damage like a free Mystic Shot off Ezreal, something like that, and then Ravenous Flock to finish it off. So it's just a really cheap, really powerful removal. And then we have 3 copies of Rummage. This is just a good way to keep cycling through our deck, or turning those created cards into actual valuable cards from our deck. So it's just a good way to keep the engine running, keep our hand full, keep everything going smoothly. And then we have 3 copies of Mystic Shot. This is one of our cheapest and most versatile removal spells, because it only costs 2 mana, but we can always point at Nexus, whereas with Flock we can't. So this can work as a win condition, it can work as removal, it can just do a lot of different things for what our deck wants. It can even kill our own unit to prevent life gain, anything like that. Alright, and then from there we have 2 copies of Scorched Earth, which is another nice, neat catch-all that's particularly effective in the meta right now. We can use it to kill a landmark, which can be good for dealing with things like Veiled Temple, because that's one of the most busted cards in the game right now. You can use it against things like Star Spring. I've seen it occasionally pop up again. But also, it's just really good for killing threats that we've managed to deal some damage to, but we still can't kill. So it's just a good way to catch those as well. And then finally, we have 3 copies of Tribeam Improbulator, probably the best spell in the deck. It deals a ton of damage. We have a lot of 3-drops to enable it between Draven, Ezreal, Sump Dredger, Chump Wump, Scorched Earth, Thermogenic Beam can even count as a 3 cost if we spend it at 3 mana. So we level up Tribeam very easily, so that it deals a ton of damage and gets us a huge unit. So it's just a great tempo piece. I mean, any removal on a stick, essentially, which is what it is, it's more removal with the stick, but anything like that is super value in a kind of deck like this. So now let's talk about the flex spots. So first off, you can play with numbers a little bit with this deck. There's a couple of things you can do. Essentially just drop a couple things here, go up some things. You can go down Farron to go up other things. You can go up removal, down removal, things like that. But another big thing you can do, this is really not seen often anymore, but this deck does sometimes run Swain instead of Draven, which gives you a more powerful late game, but a weaker early game. And right now the deck tends to be better off when it's going fast in the early game, but the deck is really capable of leveling up Swain very quickly, so that is a possibility. And if you do go the Swain route, you may want to consider replacing Captain Farron with Leviathan instead, because that's probably a better payoff at that point. But yeah, this is something you can do, is drop the Dravens, go up the Swains. Your early game's going to be worse, but your late games can be substantially better. So that's the trade-off with that. And then into some other cards, Soul Knight Urchin finds its way into the list often just to give you that extra turn 1 play. In that case, you'd probably... It used to have the spot of Ballistic Bot, and Ballistic Bot's a better card, but you could replace something like potentially House Spider, or maybe Sump Dredger is a better one to go with. Is drop the Sump Dredger to go up Soul Knight Urchin situation, you're going to have a worse turn 3, but you'll be able to do something in the first 2 turns much more often. So that's something you can go with. You can also replace the Scorched Earth with Noxian Guillotine. That's a pretty big change you see quite often, and that's just mostly because you can get multiple kills off of it and multiple Ezreal triggers off of it, unlike Scorched Earth, so it can be really good against wide board wipes, and if you do that, then Static Shock's going to go up in priority too, but it's a good way to deal with multiple threats all at once, essentially. And then also Aftershock's another thing you could consider instead of Scorched Earth. Basically, if you're finding that Scorched Earth isn't often doing much, either because you're not dealing damage to units, or your damage either kills the unit or they heal it back up, something like that, you could go Aftershock instead, because that can also kill a unit by doing the solid 3 damage. You can also point at Nexus for damage to close out the game, and it does still catch a landmark like Scorched Earth does, so it does still give you an answer for things like Veiled Temple. And then finally, Static Shock's also another good consideration. It typically fights over the Tri-Beam spot, and Tri-Beam is really, really strong, but you can always go probably a 1 of Static Shock, and basically what makes that so powerful, besides the fact that it's going to give you 2 Ezreal triggers and draw you a card, it also really enables things like Scorched Earth and Ravenous Flock, so it can be really good for that as well. And especially if you go the Noxian Guillotine version, where you're going to have ways to be able to kill multiple damage things a turn, Static Shock really sets that up well. Now, as for some of the basic mulligans with a deck, you basically always want to have some sort of turn 3 play. If you can do something in the first 2 turns as well, that would be ideal. So, like, the perfect hand's going to be, like, 2 removal spells, a 2-drop and a 3-drop. That's probably your best off case, or even 1 removal, 1 2-drop and 2 3-drops. But you do always want to have a 3-drop. And which one's best is probably going to depend on whether you're attacking or defending on turn 3. If you're attacking on turn 3, Draven's pretty much always going to be your best play in that situation, because he can attack for free. Like, it's going to be incredibly hard for them to deal with him on turn 3 because of that quick attack and the fact he can pump his damage, so he's always going to be really good for that. If you're blocking that turn, Arachnoid Sentry is really, really good for tapping down their blocker, and sometimes going like turn 3 attack with Draven, and then turn 5 play Sentry, tap down blocker. That can also be really good as well, so that's something to keep in mind with your opening hands. And a hand like that, like Draven plus Sentry plus a 4-drop, is really strong, because you play Draven swing, then you play the 4-drop, then you play Sentry and tap down a blocker, and you swing with all 3. That's a really powerful attack, one of our better attacks. So into specifically like aggro matchups, you're going to definitely want something like House Spider. House Spider is going to be a huge boon for you. Into some of those decks, like particularly Bilgewater Burn, Ezreal's going to be good. Discard Aggro has Get Excited to deal with him, so he's a little bit worse there, but against Bilgewater Burn, they're not often going to have a way, especially on turn 3, to block him or kill him. And if they do, that means they're sacrificing one of their own units and a Noxian Fervor to kill him, which is a huge win for you, so you're fine with that. But if they don't have that, you're going to be able to get Mystic shots fairly consistently with him to just start mowing down their units. So he can be really good in that matchup too. But generally speaking, you're looking for early game stuff. Thermogenic Beam for that turn 1, really, really strong for dealing with stuff like Saboteur. And then House Spider to give you that multiple blockers. That's really good. Tri-Beam's good as well too for just killing something and creating a blocker, even at a low level essentially. So that's really good. In the mid-range, you're going to want things like Scorched Earth. Ravenous Flock is insanely good. House Spider is good as well, because you get that multiple blockers. And then you set up multiple Ravenous Flocks, essentially. Thermo can be great, too, because that can catch some of their late-game threats that other things won't be able to deal with. And then Draven's really, really solid there, because he can attack fairly safely, and he'll trade with anything that can actually force him to block. So that's really strong. Into Control, you want to go as fast as you can. Again, this is another matchup where House Spider really shines. It is one of the better units in the deck. Ballistic Bot can work too for slowly grinding him out. Captain Farron's definitely worth keeping in an opener against Control. Even though he's going to be a great top deck, it's just something that's so good in that matchup. You probably want it, but you do otherwise want a fairly aggressive hand with a lot less removal, essentially, because a lot of them won't put up a lot of things for you to kill. Ezreal's really good as a late game win condition, but you're probably better off mulliganing it and just drawing into him for that extra damage. So just look to be aggressive, do as much damage early as you can, and have some sort of late game plan like Captain Farron. Alright, and that's the deck for this week's episode. If you like the deck, you can check out the description below for a deck code as well as the deck link. And then let's just jump into some ranked matches and see how we do.
Alright, game 1, and it's Fiora Aphelios. I am not a fan of this. This is definitely not something I am a particular fan of. That is terrible. Mystic Shot could do something. The question is whether we want to keep this Captain Farron. So Captain Farron could be good in the late game against this deck, but I am going to pitch it because I think we do want to be more proactive and aggressive. That hand is not great. Okay, that is much better. That is substantially better. I mean, he could have Fiora, and that obviously will cause some issues. But we can actually double Mystic Shot a Fiora that comes down. On reflection. Okay. I am fine with that. Start leveling up our tri-beams, if you want to call it leveling up. Oh, wow, you are brave. He's just gonna take that hit. That is pretty shocking, to be quite honest. That is something we love to see.
Beauty in the blade.
Not bad. What is he gonna go for? That is the real question.
They forced us to choose death or the blade.
So I can't actually kill Fiora with this. That's the key. And let's pass. Okay. Alright, so what we're gonna do here is we're gonna do this, and we're gonna pitch that. Now we can Tri-Beam plus Mystic Shot.
This dragon is positively otherworldly.
Let's see what he has. Lots of ways to keep this Fiora alive. Sure. We'll strip Bastion with that. What else you got? Not the best draw. Okay, well, let's see what he's got. He can potentially block 4 things.
Leave me no recourse.
This will be very telling if he has a heal spell for Fiora.
To be a challenge.
How bothersome.
Yeah, it'd be pretty silly of him to block there.
Precision and grace.
Okay, okay. We're forcing him to use that stuff, so that's fairly good. And we're going to drop him to a low health point here. We have a number of ways to kill this Fiora. That's the other good thing. That said, I am kind of in the boat that we don't really want to kill her with Mystic Shot if we can help it. Because I'd kind of rather have Mystic Shot for the face, considering where we're at. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, we can go for this. He can't Bastion now, at least. Does this deck run Prismatic Barrier? Weird. Very weird. That could do a lot. That could actually do a lot. Yes? Correct? Oh!
And strike.
Well, isn't that cute? Is he gonna go to combat? That's the better question. I mean, there's a good chance he has combat spells. Like, there's a very good chance he has combat spells. Okay. 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 That's a little unfortunate. Okay, let's go for it.
We're fine on our own.
Yep.
Come back later.
I have no time for fools.
Gonna need combat. We are very, very close.
I have no
We are
influence.
very, very close. Oh, man. I think we just go for this and see what happens. Does he have a healing spell? He does not. Whew! That was scary. That was incredibly, incredibly scary. But lucky for us, he did not have the guiding touch. So yeah, there we go. Not bad. On to the next. Okay, Frozen Ezreal. Interesting. Haven't played this match a ton, but it has so far gone me favored. So this could be the exception. I like Draven in this matchup. And Chumpwump can be pretty strong too. The big problem here, oh lord. The big problem is this hand. This hand is terrible. That makes it a little better. Tri-beam does make things substantially better. Oof, we really wanted a house butter right there. That was the thing we needed. Ravenous Flock is actually fairly decent.
Heard there was a little fella asking for me.
Yep, we'll swing. Oh, we get the damage through. Sweet. I was kind of expecting a Frostbite there, but we could have done Spinning Axe, pitched this, and then we will still lose our Draven, but it wouldn't matter as much.
Mushrooms could talk.
Okay, we'll do this. Improve our Tri-beam, and now we can try and kill one of these. Oh. Well, that's sad. Yeah, I mean... He gets 6 mushrooms in my deck, I kill one of his Puffcat Peddlers. Guaranteed now. Now the question is, do we just swing out? Like open attack? Or, oh lord, oh god! That was the worst possible thing to get there. I could play an Ezreal. I don't think we want to yet though. This is actually pretty decent, because we can still Ravenous Flock. So if he blocks, like, here, we can still kill that with Ravenous. Ooh, he has a lot of choices. We don't like that. We don't like that one bit. Nice thing is these Spinning Axes. These are a threat against my opponent at all times.
God axes need victims.
Let's see how loose he is willing to play with his health bar. So we'll see what he does.
Not a meddler.
Yeah, go ahead. Block that. Take the damage.
Would a mushroom help? I'm a peddler, not a meddler.
Yeah, we're good with that so far. I don't really want to use these Spinning Axes, but I can if I need to. That's the question. This is a blowout to Brittle Steel, but
For the money makers.
we're gonna go for it. Alright. Got it. And then Ravenous to kill the other one. Has he leveled up his Teemo yet? Not quite. Alright, that's one Puffcat Peddler left in the deck. That is where we want to be.
Pretty.
Ezreal's pretty far from leveling, though. which is not where we want to be. Okay, that's actually pretty solid.
When tribe calls, the reply is proper.
I'm fine drawing some cards, my man. But, well, now we'll do House Spider first, for sure. Can we run out in Ezreal? I don't think so.
I got ways to find me mushrooms.
This is unfortunate if he plays Teemo.
No stone unturned.
Okay. Actually, you know what? No, I can take that hit. Let's not play into Frostbite. Let's not be stupid. And I think we will play this Sentry first. One less blocker is pretty good. I think there's a good chance he goes like Harshwind this turn. So, the harder we make it on our opponent to have a good turn, the better. What's his Ezreal at? 1 of 6? Okay, that's not that bad. Ours is at 3 as well. So we'll play our Ezreal now and see what he does.
Do this.
Chances are we'll use the free Mystic Shot on Veteran Investigator anyways, just to try and level this Ezreal up. Because with double Mushroom Cloud and a Chump up in hand, he's going for max save his life. Okay. I don't know if that was the right choice. It's debatable. It's debatable, but letting us get this free Ezreal Mystic Shot might be pretty devastating for him. He just might not know it yet, especially with double Mystic Shot in hand. Well, Ezreal plus Mystic Shot. Just have to make sure that we use the right Mystic Shot. Okay, hang on. Let's count cards. 7. This will get me to 9. So we use a mushroom now. Correct? Or we pitch a card to draw? Yeah, maybe we pitch a card to draw. We'll get rid of Spinning Axe and a Mushroom Cloud. That is a card I like. I like that card a lot. Alright, we go to full cards in hand. You know, for a second there, I was thinking if I just play this Captain Farron, and then I realized I'm an idiot, and that I wouldn't get any decimates out of that. Well, alright, yep, did not draw any Frostbite, apparently. Alright, not bad, not bad. And there we go, have another one. 2-0 against Frozen Ezreal, so I guess that might actually be a good matchup. Though, I think he might have gotten a little unlucky with his Frostbite package, because I was expecting a lot more devastating counterplay, and we didn't see it. So I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that my opponent was a bit unlucky. But we will absolutely take that and go on to the next. Alright. I have not played this matchup yet. I'm not sure how this goes. That seems fairly solid. Thermogenic could be good, but I think it's probably not the best. We're going to want to go quick here, and Ballistic Bot helps. This is definitely a good find for us, because it survives Avalanche, and it's going to pump out damage consistently over time. This Ezreal, we're going to want to wait as long as possible to play.
These old eyes still see far and clear.
Okay. I'm definitely not going to block. That would be a huge mistake. The question is, do I Mystic Shot that?
Nothing escapes my
I don't think so. I think we just do this, draw a card, upgrade our Tri-Beam a bit.
safeguard our homes.
Yeah, I'm willing to block one. I know I'm setting up a Vile Feast there, but honestly, that's just the way it is. This Mystic Shot's actually, in a funny way, not necessarily bad for me. Because I can Mystic Shot Scorched Earth in Anivia to prevent Gluttony from happening. Yeah, we'll do that.
Look out for Reavers.
Okay, what's he doing? That's bait right there. That is bait. Withering Whale? Okay. Honestly, I think this is worth doing. If he's blocking like this, I just don't trust that. That puts our ballistic bot so easy to kill. Oh man, so I said that whole thing about I said that whole thing about having the double mystic shot, but I don't want him drawing cards. That's one of the worst things you can let an Anivia control deck do. The less cards he draws, the better. But I am not at all confident that that was a favorable trade for us. Okay. This isn't too bad. He can't play Anivia yet, so I could do this whole chump wump this turn and swing. Not that I'm really in ideal shape right now. Okay. Interesting. Does he have the Anivia Gluttony? That is the real question.
Safety disengaged.
Withering Wail? Oh, that's a good sign. One of the very rare times I'm going to look at a Withering Wail there and be like, oh, thank God. Now, unfortunately, we have not found many 3 costs. That is pretty unfortunate. Ooh. That is a hard yikes. Let's see if he gluttonies in response. Nope. Okay, that's the worst possible card I could get. Although he is about to kill it. So that's always cute. Okay. 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 That's not bad. Now, do I kill that? Is the better question. Oh, man. Oh, that feels so bad. I think so, though. Man, I don't know.
Don't blink or you'll miss me.
I have zero confidence in the play I just made.
Watch and learn.
I just want the world to know that. I want to play Captain Farron before attacking because he's probably going to vengeance my Ezreal, and that's just unfortunate. Oh, okay. That's about as good a thing as could happen. If that's his only answer to Ezreal right now, that's pretty good for us. Oh wow, he's gonna take the 4. I mean, he probably has a ton of ways to gain life, so that's the big thing here. Okay. Deal 2. Deal 2 gets to 4. This kills it. This kills it. If he tries to gluttony in response, we're gonna Scorched Earth. I think we do need to, as expensive removal for Anivia as this is, I think we do need to do this. And that'll level up our Ezreal too, which is actually fairly good for us.
I'm so good, I surprised myself.
Now, we want to play Captain Farron next turn. But we will see what our opponent does. That is very good for us. I mean, he probably has Vengeance. He probably has Vengeance. Like, we just have to accept that he most likely has Vengeance, or some other way to make this Captain Farron not do much. Although Frostbite is less likely. Yeah. Well. He's got a lot going for him right now. Does he have the Vengeance? This is actually a really good find, so... Yep, he has the Vengeance, but that does slow down his progress somewhat. So now we can Chump Wump, and we can draw some cards. Because we are absolutely going to rummage away Although, I'm kind of at the point that rummaging this Scorched Earth might be worth more than Mushroom Cloud. Okay. Is it worth playing? Maybe.
Put on me mask, secure me tail, start the day.
Does he have a harrowing? That is another question to be asked. Of course he does. This is as bad of a circumstance as we could be in. I'm trying to think how we lose from here. So we can stun one of these. Okay. That won't actually do anything yet, though. So block here, block here, block here. It doesn't really matter because this is going to die anyways, correct? It won't actually trade. Unfortunate, but yep, we'll do that. So we can kill one of his birds. The question is if that's worth it.
Tomorrow we rise anew.
I'm not so confident that it is. Because we kind of want to keep as much spells and spell mana as we can in the off chance that we draw an Ezreal this turn. I'll use one Decimate because we're not going to be able to cast them all next turn anyways. Yeah, but I'm pretty sure the only way we win from here is Ezreal off the top, maybe? Yep. Yep. Triple Anivia.
A new era begins.
Do we find it? Nope. Just go for it, I guess. I mean, he's got 6 cards in hand, so he's probably got something. Yep. And that's the game. You might think this is an early scoop, but yeah, we had to hit Ezreal that turn. That was our only chance of winning. So yeah, just unfortunate. Our opponent got pretty lucky, and we got a little bit unlucky. Our hand was fairly slow, and our opponent did have the right removal to line up against that. So even though they made that bad mistake with the early Ruination, we weren't able to really capitalize on it. And I do think that Ruination was a bit early on their part, but just because of the fact that we only had 3 things that got hit by it, but we did have a leveled up Ezreal, so it really is, who knows. It can go either way there, but yeah, unfortunate, but on to the next. Alright, Anivia Control, apparently the only thing that exists in the game right now. Well, time to find out if it's a bad matchup or if our opponent got lucky. Man, I like the Ezreal, but honestly, that can just be a top deck. Okay. Or not. Yeah. We never have a turn 1 play, so it doesn't... That doesn't hurt that much.
You can see the Demacian border from here.
Okay. Now is the big decision making. This is the moment. How scared are we of an avalanche? I just don't know that it's in my... It's 1 damage. It's 1 damage. We would get 1 damage through. We would get exactly 1 damage through. Yeah, okay. Yep, that's fine. Well, we banked 2 mana. I mean, that's not fine. That's actually horribly, cripplingly bad. But it wasn't going to go any better, to be quite fair, or quite honest. Man, this hand's terrible. Ravenous Flock's okay. Ravenous Flock is okay.
Don't blink.
We're going to play this Ezreal because we have to do something. This isn't a good board state for Ezreal, but we do have to do something.
Time for the main event.
Draven, on the other hand, that's much better. And then he can decide which one of these he wants to kill. I mean, this is only 4 damage, so...
Can't stop me.
We are, unfortunately, not doing much quickly. Okay. I think we shoot him, right? I think we do.
Charge.
Some sort of removal off the top.
River watch.
Uh-huh.
I bring the storm.
Yeah, if he's smart, he'll do it in response. Yep. Okay, what can we do here?
Rest.
We're in bad shape now. We are in bad shape. But I can work off this.
Perfect stillness.
I'm trying to think. So probably our best bet is to kill kill Rekindler here. Because that's the most threatening thing he has.
My time. System upgrade.
Okay. Actually, he can't do a ton with a board wipe, right? Yeah, let's do this first. Avalanche is bad here for us, but it's not like game over. Okay. Because he kills his own thing,
Bury
and
all
then we get to kill his Anivia. And we'll see if he has, like, another Avalanche. Although if he does Avalanche again, he'll lose the next Anivia as well. Is he going to try to do that? Okay. That's less of a problem. That I can live with, at least. That said, we're going into a harrowing turn. He's at 18 health, so this game is over. Obviously, we're going to play it out, but, like, this is as bad of a situation as I could possibly be in. Man. I don't even know what I do here. Because this is just going to die to a Anivia attack.
Join me if you want to live.
Want to level up this Ezreal,
Inferior design.
but... Or not, yeah, I want to level up this Ezreal, but I don't have a lot of ways to do it. So I think I have to fight this Anivia, but if I fight this Anivia, he gets both Anivias back next turn. So then the better play is to do this. And at least kill an Anivia. Yeah, I mean this is pretty unwinnable at this point regardless. Like we are very much doomed. This game's going even worse than the last game, and the last game was really bad for us. And you know what's even worse? When you don't get your Ezreal trigger. Oh lord, yeah, this game's over. Unfortunate. But that is the way the cookie crumbles sometimes.
eternal winter.
At least he has one less bird here, but he does have 6 cards, and he's drawing another one now, so he definitely drew a Harrowing, because they always draw Harrowing. Yeah, that's, yep. He still has 9 mana left. Well. Yeah, he's making Anivia control look insanely broken right now. Like when it can do something like that, that does seem pretty messed up.
The balance wills it.
Join the conflagration.
And Vengeance. Vengeance on Ezreal. He doesn't need Vengeance, Ezreal. That is the more threatening one. Okay, so that's going to kill all my stuff? Pretty much. Okay. Ironically, that's actually not that bad for us. As funny as that sounds. So we can get rid of Anivia here. Uh-huh. Yep. Man, we just can't even level this Ezreal, so it doesn't even matter. That is so tragic. Okay, so this is where Ezreal Draven is falling off the meta a bit. I see. It is the Anivia control that's spiking. Got it. Yeah. I mean, when we can't even level our Ezreal up, we are in awful shape. Harrowing? There's really no disadvantage to Harrowing, so I don't know if he's got it. He should cast it. Because like I'm a Piltover Noxus deck. What am I gonna do in response to a Harrowing? I don't have board waves. Yeah, that's fine. Yep, and that's the game. Yep, unfortunate. So that is a terrible matchup. I can say that with relative certainty now that we've played it twice, and we have not been particularly close in either game. I think we were about as close as we could hope to get in that last one, so yeah, that is a disastrous matchup, but yeah, on to the next. Alright, thank God, it's not Anivia control. We'd still lose this game, but at least I'm playing something different. Feel like Thermogenic can be good. Captain Farron's going to be bad. Ravenous Flock actually seems like it might be good. Biggest thing we're scared of is a hush onto this Ezreal. Because otherwise they're going to have a hard time getting rid of our Ezreal. Other big problem we've got going right now. This is a very slow hand. Okay, well we're probably not playing Ezreal turn 3? Although it is so good, man.
Off we go! Load out!
Yeah, unfortunately I can't kill that.
This way!
Yep. Yeah, how embarrassing is that? We're fucking built over Draven Ezreal and we can't kill a Young Witch on turn 2. Yeah, that's that's about as sad a circumstance as we can be in. We can kill it now though. Unless he plays a Lulu, because I will kill a Lulu before I kill I mean, we're gonna cast this Thermo because it upgrades our Tri-Beam. So it's really just super good. So I guess we might as well kill Fuzzy Caretaker. Because that's gonna be harder to deal with in the future. And we will see what our opponent does this turn, and that will determine if we Tri-Beam or if we Sump Dredger.
Is it adventure time, you guys? What do
I
you
could
say,
do a Sump
Flo?
Dredger here, I think.
Yes!
We're gonna get something big off this Tri-Beam.
There's nothing a good giggle can't
Lord.
fix. Ooh, look what I did!
Oh, that's actually really bad, isn't it?
Whoa.
Okay, so we'll trade with this. We're gonna trade with this. We are fine with that. We are fine with the trade here. Because we are open to trading there regardless, so that's not that big a deal. Now the question is, do I want to Tri-Beam or do I want to Ezreal? I think we want to Ezreal here.
The world's a big place.
Because then we can Mystic Shot something, and then
Let's go.
Right.
oh lord.
It's not bragging if you can back it up.
I could take the hit here if he blocks.
Why, hello there.
He has no idea. He has no idea. Now what do we want to kill the most? I think we're probably best off killing this. I think we can actually let Lulu live. Because we can kill Lulu with a Tri-Beam. So we will go for this. So he can't level up the Lulu. Yep, alright. That's a little bit of an early scoop, but I get it. And just a weird deck all around. You could definitely play IT Taric Lulu and have it be fairly good, but it looks like our opponent's a little bit too heavy on the support than he should be, because some of those cards are very hard to pull off. Like, maybe I can give him the Fuzzy Caretaker, but Mountain Sojourners is just so much mana for what it does. Like, a 2/5's not that great, and you have to really get a lot of support chained in a row to make that really pay off. So yeah, I can kind of give him it, but also it's a little bit of a reach. But yeah, on to the next.
Alright, so how do we do in our matches? Well, we went 3-2, which is a positive win rate, and unfortunately my overall record is not quite the same, and I definitely tanked it a little bit this week trying to make the seasonal tournament. So currently the deck and this includes the Ranked Climb, which was only one game, but that plus the games in Masters, it's gone 7-8 right now. Now there's a couple of important things to note here. There's a couple of matchups that I think we just got unlucky with, like Fiora Shen is supposed to be a good matchup. Played it once, lost to it. Played against, let's see, Discard Aggro isn't necessarily a bad matchup because we can actually kill a lot of their stuff. We line up pretty well against them. So we have that going for us, but we don't have any life gain, so they can run us down. And I had a couple of pretty bad hands and just unluckiness in that. But to talk a little bit more about the matchups that I do think are relevant, Anivia Control, as you saw, 0-2. I stand by my statements in those games. Those games are pretty unwinnable. I'm fairly confident on that. Just on the ton of life gain that they have and how easy it is for them to stall out our damage output, it's extraordinarily difficult to win that game because we just don't have the staying power against them. They can out-heal most of our damage, and then their late game will just kill us very, very quickly, and none of our creatures or units can really survive a double Anivia trigger, so aside from Farron, so they'll just shred through our line really quick, and we won't be able to get anything to stick for the long run, so I think that is a bad matchup. And then Bilgewater, Targon, Aphelios, TF. It's a terrible deck that shouldn't exist. I stand by those statements. Aphelios is a really neat idea and concept card that shouldn't exist, essentially. Targon's biggest downside is completely essentially made up for by Aphelios, and particularly Calibrum is the thing that really breaks it, even though Crescendum's the most broken card in there. But yeah, Targon can do too much. But how do we do against it? 1-2 overall in that matchup. So yeah, it's still favored for them. Maybe it would get closer to 50% if I played more, but honestly, I don't really have much confidence in that. That deck does not give you much room for counterplay, just period in general. So yeah, it's going to be favored into most matchups, I think, and we definitely don't get around that. Now, what we are seeing a decent amount of right now is Frozen Ezreal, or we were at the start of the week, and I went 2-0 against that deck. So we saw the one game in the video, but also another game before that. So I haven't lost to it yet. It feels relatively easy to win because our removal lines up decently well against them. They're going to have a hard time keeping up with our board state because ours is bigger than theirs is. Or, well, essentially, we go wider than they do and a lot quicker. So that's in our favor as well, and the creatures that they have, they don't really want to block with, so we can often just force through damage because, hey, if they want to trade a Puffcat Peddler with a Arachnoid Sentry, that's a huge win for us. So, yeah, that feels like a pretty solid matchup. So, overall, I think the deck's in a perfectly fine spot. I think my win record on it is misleading. I think I didn't do the deck justice and played a little bit too tilted this week and kind of killed that record a bit. So I do think the deck is better than what I've done with it. I think it should be above 50%. I think if I play it more from now on, it'll go above 50%. Check back in on MetaCheck next week and see if that's actually accurate, but hopefully that's what happens. I think it honestly will. I play a little bit cleaner, but it really depends on how much Aphelios, TF, and Anivia Control you see, because those matchups are really bad, especially Anivia Control actually feels pretty unwinnable. But other than that, every other matchup I feel like we have a decent enough chance against any other decks, so that always feels good, and that whole Ezreal backup win condition is really good into a lot of the slower decks. But yeah, all in all, I still love the deck. It's one of my favorite decks to play of all times. This is the third time I think I've covered, actually fourth time if you count the Ezreal Swain deck. Then this is the fourth time I'm covering this deck on the grind, but first time this season. I think it was better a month ago than it is now. The Farron nerfs do hurt it a bit. The Anivia control matchup specifically would be a lot better with the extra decimate, but I don't think it was a really crippling nerf, and that was basically the only nerf that hit the deck. So I think it's definitely still competitive. I think it's a really solid choice for something that you want to have a chance against most decks, as long as you don't hit Anivia control. That's really the only one where it's like, okay, we really can't do anything here. And even then, I'm sure you can steal a couple games. It is a card game after all, so anything can happen. But yeah, it's a very solid deck. I highly recommend it. It's still one of my favorite decks to play of all time, and it's definitely still good. It's just not quite as dominant as it was previously. So thanks for watching the video. If you liked the video, leave a like, comment below, and subscribe for more card game related content.